Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you would, please let's stand for a moment of prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, you've graced us with another beautiful day, dear God. Thank you for protecting us during the storm surge that we've had with the hurricane coming up through here. Guide and go with us as we go through the meeting and the business for Pickens County. And also, Lord, be with our men and women overseas that are here protecting our freedoms as we go forward. Guide and direction the path I ask in your sweet name. Amen.
Amen.
And let's power stand to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all. You may be seated. All right, that brings us down to amendments to the agenda. Ms. Lisa, do we have any amendments to the agenda? All right. That brings us down to an item called employee recognition. It's Ms. Denny has been doing this for a few years now, and Ms. Denny, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. We have two really good ones this time. I love these awards and I'm honored to do them. First, we have a 10-year award for Natasha Howard. Come up. I'm very proud of Natasha. She went over to the animal shelter. What date was that? How long ago?
The end of June in 2019.
And has really made a lot of changes and brought it along, and we are so proud of everything you've done, and thank you for the 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and then we have a 20-year from the Recreation Department, Eric, and I'm going to let you.
Chop Deontay.
Very good.
Pronounce your last name,
Chop.
All right. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. 20 years, that's a long time.
Yeah,
And you keep that place looking so good. What's the secret?
I have no clue. It's a lot of work. It's a real lot of work.
Yeah. Do you have several guys
My
that
bones feel it. Yeah.
work with you in that?
Yeah, we
and
do.
Keeping it done?
We do.
Well, it just looks better and better all the time. So we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to do some pictures.
While we're doing that, Eric has, he was on board when I come back in 2005, and I got to give him credit. He doesn't get enough, but he has kept that whole swimming pool operating all these years. And as we well know, it's anywhere from about $16,000 to $42,000 to keep that thing open in the spring. But
Yeah,
move on down this way. But thank you very much for what you're doing.
yeah, thank you.
And Natasha, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for always being there.
Can you go over this way just a little? No, center a little. Things are awful. In the back. Okay.
You're like a rock star.
That's right, you are.
Thank you, Dad.
All right. That brings us down to old business with hopefully new numbers. At this time, under old business, we have the 2019 audit presentation from Bates, Carter and Company. Young lady, we're going to let you run with it. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. How are you?
And introduce yourself to the crowd.
Do I get to change where you're going to change it for me? I will change it. Okay. That'll work for me. Well, good evening. Thank you for having me here. My name is Amanda Wilkson. I'm an audit partner at Bates Carter, and I've been the lead in charge of this audit for the last 7 years. No, 6 years. And so I'm happy to be here to talk to you and give you a recap of 2019. I'm just going to hit the highlights. If there's any questions, feel free to ask me. But my intention is to give you an overview about what had happened in 2019 and what the county was looking at as it entered into 2020. So the audit report is going to have the opinion about the financial statements. That's the first 3 pages of the financial statements, what everyone wants to know about first. The opinion is unmodified, or what's known as a clean opinion. This is the highest opinion that you can have on your financial statements, and it means that they are presented fairly with generally accepted accounting principles. We also have another report that's included in the financial statements where we do a review of internal controls and compliance, and that is also in relation to government auditing standards, and we did a review of internal controls. So those are the two reports that are included in the financial statements. As far as what is included in the financials, we are going to be auditing all of the departments of the county, all of the funds of the county, and all of the elected officials' offices. There are component units that are also presented in the financial report to give a complete view of what the county's footprint is. The Development Authority is included with a December 31st year end, like the county has. But we also have a component unit for the Department of Public Health, and their year end is June 30th, 2019. We did not perform this audit, but it is included in the financial statements. So I'm going to go through and give some highlights about the major funds that are in the county report. The largest one and the first one is the general fund. So if we're going to look at how revenues and expenditures looked in 2019, overall, revenues were over expenditures by $331,000. The revenues that were brought in 2019 were up from 2018 by about 5%. And that's a pretty general increase that we've seen for the last year or two. That increase in revenue mainly related to taxes and the increase that was being brought in from property taxes and sales taxes and the insurance premium tax. Now, these are all related to really good activity and growth and economic activity within the county. They are all tied to the activity in the interaction with the people that are coming up here to live, shop, and own homes. And since the millage rate did decrease in 2019, this increase in the property tax revenue is related to higher assessments, new properties, and growth in other areas besides the actual millage rate. Moving on to other parts of the revenues that are included in the report, one of the large increases that we saw in revenue was the money that came in from what's called dispositions of capital assets. This is mostly related to the insurance reimbursements and coverages that happened that are related to disposed assets that were destroyed or not in service anymore. Another large increase that we're seeing in revenue in 2019 was from intergovernmental grants, and that's mostly the Georgia DOT funding that came in for the Grant Jones Mountain Road project. And so we'll see that increase in the expenditures as well.
That was a landslide we had up there at Jones Mountain.
Mm-hmm. So this is an increase in both the revenue and the expenditure side. So in a couple of minutes, we'll be talking about the fact that we saw costs go up as well. If we're looking at the revenues compared to the budget, overall revenues were under the final budget by $351,000. A lot of this was due to the fact that capital lease proceeds were under budget by $220,000. What this means is that the county had planned to take on a lease or a debt to be able to acquire a new piece of equipment, and the county was actually able to pay for that instead of bringing in this new debt. Property taxes were also over budget by $173,000. Again, that shows conscious thought about how the budgets are being done. You'd want to be able to budget your revenues rather conservatively. And charges for services were under budget by $358,000. And a lot of this is due to the fact that ambulance fees collections were less than the budget, but the actual revenue that was brought in was rather similar to 2018. So moving into expenditures increased by $3 million when you're comparing that to 2018. That's an increase of 13% in the expenditures, and when you compare that to the increase in revenue of 10%, they are rising rather comparably to each other. Personnel costs across the county increased by $1 million in 2019, and the largest increase in 2019 was capital outlay and other public works projects, which include the Jones Mountain Road project, which we just spoke about how it was partially and mostly funded by the Georgia DOT. Compared to the budget, overall expenditures were below budget by $163,000. One of the main areas that was under budget were personnel costs, but really there was just conscious attention to how budgets were being handled across all departments. So this is really across all departments in the general fund of being under budget. Capital costs related to the Jones Mountain Road were more than budget, but again, that money was being mostly funded through intergovernmental means. This is a visual depiction that I put together so that you can see how the county activity of revenues and expenditures relate to each other over the past 5 years. As you can see, costs are going up, but so are revenues. And this is a trend as we're beginning to see more growth. And as the blue line is the revenues and the orange line is the expenditures, they've come a little bit closer together in 2019. But as you can see over the past few years, the revenues have exceeded expenditures, and again, they are going up. Now this ratio is supposed to let you know of all of your assets, what's available at the end of the year to be able to fund your operations for the beginning of the next year. So we're taking the portion of the fund balance of the general fund and we're trying to get a number to let the reader know what is available to be used for funding operations. The 32% indicates that there is about 30% of a year that can be funded with the amount of assets that are available at December 31st, 2019. The Georgia Finance Officers Association offers a benchmark for counties to know what kind of a number to hit, and they recommend that that percentage be somewhere between 15 and 25%. So as you can see, the county is consistently above those kind of benchmark requirements. And this means that when you go into the next year, you have the availability to cash flow and to pay for your operations leading into at least the first quarter of the year. So moving on from the general fund to talk about SPLOST. SPLOST is another major program, major fund in the financial statements, so it's presented in its own presentation on the financial statements. In 2019, $5.4 million was brought in new revenue to the county, and $5.7 million was spent in 2019. All of the projects that this money is going to fund were approved in the SPLOST referendum, so we have those projects more broken out and displayed in a SPLOST report that's also included in the financial statements. But mostly that $5.7 million was spent on public safety and the road improvements that were included in that SPLOST referendum. The restricted programs are now a major fund in the county. This fund specifically tracks all of the accountability court and judicial grant programs that the county is administrating. Most of the activity is money in and money out because it's reimbursed grant activity. But because it's beginning to grow and there's more activity in there, it's becoming to be more material to the county, and so it's being presented a little bit more clearly independently. So this year, there was $2.9 million in revenue and $2.9 million in related expenditures for the judicial programs. To show you a little bit about what that activity has been looking like over the past 5 years, I included this trend information so that you can see what those revenues have looked like over the last 5 years. And as you can see, there's been growth in the activity, so that's one of the reasons why we're seeing that this is now becoming a major fund for the county. So to talk a little bit about the debt that the county is carrying, this is governmental activities debt, so this is not debt that's related to any of the utilities or the proprietary funds, the business type funds. This is the county debt that's being held in the governmental activities. The long-term debt totals $1.3 million. That is made up of a note payable that's related to the public works facility with an interest rate of 2.33%. It's going to mature within the next 10 years. The capital leases that are being carried by the county right now amount to $319,000, and those are going to mature in just the next couple of years. I would like to point out that for most counties, they would easily have governmental debt of 3 times this amount. This is a remarkably low amount of debt that's being carried by the county for governmental activities. And as you can look, there's not a very long period of time that these payments are required to be paid out at, which means that debt is being managed well. So to move into the business type activities, these are the funds that are acting like businesses, and so we're reporting them a little bit differently in that their depreciation and all of their long-term costs are included in their financial reporting. The operating income in the water fund was $193,000. Of that amount includes the depreciation cost for the maintenance of all of the assets that are being held by that fund, which amounted to $669,000. It does not include debt service payments of $512,000, which are payments that the fund is making on its own debt before we get into the net income. So this means that the fund is carrying the cost of its own assets and the cost of the debt that it's incurred to be able to have those assets. The long-term debt held by the water fund is $7.3 million. This is made up of a bond and a GDOT note that's related to new construction. Both of these debts are listed here. They both have competitive interest rates, and they are maturing. The bond payable, which is the largest part of it, is maturing within the next 10 years. The GDOT note is still under construction, and when it becomes payable, it will have a 20-year repayment schedule on it.
And henceforth for the public here, that's what we've been calling everybody's enterprise funds, because they pay for themselves, doesn't be paid out of general fund.
Mm-hmm. Yep, business type funds, I'll use enterprise, that's correct. So the enterprise fund for the airport had an operating loss of $28,000. It's rather consistent with its activity from year to year. And that $28,000 loss does include the cost of the depreciation of its assets of $127,000. The airport's debt is $4.7 million. Most of that, again, is the bond that it's held for the taxiway. The variable interest rate on that debt is 3.25%, which again is a competitive interest rate to have, and it matures in the next 10 years. There's another bond for $1.3 million that had to do with the hangar construction. It's still in process, and that maturity will be in 2035, so a little bit further out. But there's less debt here, and this fund has been able to carry most of its activity. So the other issue that I'd like to point out before we leave here is to talk about the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability. These are the benefits that are paid to employees when they are after they've left service. The pension liability and the other post-employment benefits liability have had a lot of changes in how we're reporting them over the last few years, and this has really made an impact on what they look like on the financial statements. This is the liability. So this is the projected amount that's to be paid over the course of all of the people that are currently enrolled in the plans. And so as you can see, the pension liability is increasing and the OPEB liability is staying constant for the time being. The contributions that are related to these plans are also something that the county takes into effect when it's considering its budgeting. These are costs that are guaranteed to happen with the county, and so the ability to be able to pay these costs in the future is something that it needs to be actively managed. One of the reasons why we are concerned about how they're reported is because the contributions are building into the plan, and that investment is going to help fund future outlay payments. There's going to be more attention and changes to how these liabilities and how all these plans are reported on your financial statements. So in the coming years, we're going to be implementing new standards from the government standards boards so that these are reported a little bit differently in your financial statements, and this is why. So I think that is the end of what I had prepared. Do you have any questions for me about 2019 specifically?
No, I kind of reviewed yours earlier. Ms. Denny, Mr. Barnes? Looks good, thank you very much.
Good job.
I'd like to point out that doing an audit at any time is an arduous kind of an affair because we're pretty needy and we need a lot of stuff. This year, we had the added challenge of being able to audit through a quarantine and a shutdown. And we were able to get all of that done and accomplished electronically. We were able to do the audit remotely for the most part. And I'd really like to thank Faye and everybody that helped participated in the county audit, which extends far and wide across all departments, for being so amenable to helping us and getting through this process. And it's been definitely a collaborative affair. So thank you all for your support and help with that.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, call me if you need anything, and I'll see you again soon.
All right, thank you. We need a, we're gonna need a witness second to approve that audit. All right, I need a moving second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Got a moving second to approve the audit, correct? All right, any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let by saying aye. None opposed, thank you. Ms. Fay, good job. All right, that brings us down to item number 8 under new business. We are been asked by ETC a quick claim deed. What's going on there? Station number 2 down at Worley Crossroads at Tate, Georgia. There's a small, very small piece of property in that area where the new fire station is at. And ETC had asked, and we had worked out about a 60 to 60, wasn't it, Phil? It's a very, very small area for them to put a switching station there, there at the station. And so they were asking for a quick claim deed for that one spot there. We get it locked in for the future of the county in that area as the electronics, broadband, all that stuff grows. So that being said, have y'all got any questions to that? It's right there, right where the tornado siren is, right, station number 2, right there on Worley Crossroads.
When you took title of this property, you took title subject to an ETC station already being made.
Right.
So it was already an exclusive easement. And now, because of changes, ETC needs to actually have ownership of that rather than it being exclusive easement. It doesn't impair anything, any of the county's expectations within the realm of their ownership of that property.
Thank you.
That means as soon as we give this property over to ETC, Roy can go down there and raise their taxes on that one spot there, and we'll have more money next year.
Got it.
Yeah. I need a motion to give me permission to sign the quick claim deed, please.
Second.
Now, moving to second, any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you, that has been approved. And then we get to item B under the Broadband Ready program. Mr. Justin Kilgore, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. This is what y'all have before y'all is a letter that's requesting the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission to actually work on this comp plan amendment. In 2018, the state passed the Broadband Ready program, and as counties and cities move to their new comprehensive plans, it's actually a required element. So we're getting started on it a little bit early, but once it's finished and we apply for the program, it will also allow us to apply for state funding once state funds are available for broadband.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need to move in a second to give me the permission to go ahead and sign this for the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission as Pickens County Joint Comprehensive Plan Amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I move in a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, that brings us down to Ms. Fay. It looks like we're going to be looking at the financial report. Item number 9, please.
Okay. The finance report that y'all have before you is for the period ending August 31st of 2020. And that is 8 months or 2/3 of our fiscal year is gone. So the expenditure budget shouldn't be more than 66.7%.
First, we'll look at the revenues. On the revenues, at the end of August, we had collected $12,222,160, and that's 40.38% of the budgeted revenues. For the general government functions, the expenditures were $2,460,021, and that's 58.99% of the total of those expenditure budgets. For the the judicial functions, the expenditures are $2,202,263, and that's 57.83%. For public safety, the expenditures are $9,069,447, and that is 62.34%. And then we go to the public works functions, and that the expenditures are $4,516,659, and that's at 81.34%. Both the public works and the solid waste budget, which is solid waste and recycle, both those have considerable capital outlay projects, and most of those projects have been expended. So those budgets should level out by the end of the year. They are over budget right now. Next, we go to health and welfare, and those expenditures are $105,896, which is 36.91%. For culture and recreation, expenditures are $666,927, and that's 61.97%. For housing and development, the expenditures are $429,828, and that's 52.16% of those budgets. So the total general fund through the end of August, the expenditures are $19,451,042, and that's 64.26%. That's about 2.4% under the allowable level. For the enterprise funds, the water department, their expenditures are $1,428,885, and that's 55.17%. For the airport, the expenditures are $400,988, and that's 77.84%. The airport's expenditures that budget looks a little bit skewed. They are selling a lot of fuel, so of course they have to absorb the fuel cost. But the airport revenues that we've collected so far this year is $474,630. So their revenues are over the level of their expenditures. We'll need to amend that budget as we're maybe toward the end of the year
Okay.
to recognize the additional revenues. The line item budget reports were sent out to department heads and elected officials this week on Tuesday morning, and I have copies of all those line item budgets if you all ever want to look at them. Any questions or anything?
I'm just curious about the library. Have they started their project yet, the renovation?
The SPLOST. They are not. I let them know, of course, their SPLOST collections ended with the end of the 2014
In
SPLOST.
June.
And I let them know the amount of money that they have, and they're getting with their architects, and they're most likely going to just do one draw and just take the money so that we can close that account.
It looks good, thank you.
Everything's still on go for the budget hearings for the other county elected officials and department heads?
Yes, the budgets are due by Monday, I believe. They're due to the finance department. I've gotten a lot of budgets in, haven't had a chance to start working on yet, but yes, our budget meetings are the end of October.
All right. All right, any further questions? All right, that brings us down to the millage rate approval. Ms. Fay, would you like to go over that real quick?
I think y'all have the millage rate advertisement in your packets. What we advertised in the progress this week, or last week, I'm sorry, was the current 2020 property tax digest and 5-year history levy. As we discussed in the work session, when y'all authorized the advertisement, the computation of rollback equalizes the revenue from year to year, and our tax digest did grow considerably. So our rollback rate is the mill rate is 7.613, and that is a decrease from last year's 7.779. However, that will give us sufficient revenue for 2021 budget.
This will make number 5. This is the 5th year we've been able to do the rollback to millage rate.
Yes, I think so.
Coming back from doldrums there, so it's 5 years in a row we've been able to roll the millage rate back. I need a move in a second to go ahead and accept this millage rate approval.
Second.
Have a move in a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, thank you. Faye, good job, and thank you on that millage rate report. All right, that brings us down to item number 10 under action items. I'm going to do something a little different. We're going to play catch up tonight. I'm going to read off some meetings called, work, and otherwise, and the dates thereof. We have already read the minutes. They've already been sent to the other 2 commissioners. I'm going to ask if we could just approve all these at one time and let me read them out separate. I need to get the minutes approved for, number 1, the regular meeting that was held on July 16th, 2020. The called meeting that was held July 30th, 2020. The work session that was held August 6th of 2020. The called meeting that was held on August 13th, 2020. Another called meeting that was held August the 25th of 2020. A called meeting that was held September 7th of 2020. And a work session that was held September 2020. I have reviewed all those, and hopefully y'all have too with the computers, and seen what we had. I didn't see any discrepancies or any changes that we need to make on all those meetings. And if I can, and you think it would be perfectly right to approve all these at one time, I'd ask for a moving second to go ahead and approve all these minutes. If not, we're going to be here till 9:30 if I read them all. So if y'all will make a move to accept these as written, and they're already on the website anyway, most of them.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move in a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, know by saying aye. None opposed, thank you. Those have been approved. All right, that brings us down to item B, approval of GDOT roundabout lighting at State Road 53 and Dragon Drive. What the DOT is requesting is they are going to build sometime in the near future a roundabout, quite a few here in Pickens County. This is one here at Dragon Drive and State Road 53, business there where the high school is. They're wanting the county to agree to pay the lighting bill for that roundabout. And we are still in discussions with some of that in regard to what kind of lighting they're going to put up, and we're going to keep them focused on LED. That being said, I need a move in a second to approve this contract for them for the lighting, just the lighting, no maintenance, just the lighting, and we will pay that lighting bill for that roundabout there on 53 at Dragon Drive. Need a move in a second to approve, and give me the permission to sign.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move in a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, that brings us down to the Tate Depot Advisory Committee and Tate Depot Lease. We are not going to discuss lease, but we are going to discuss the Tate Depot Advisory Committee. This is just an advisory committee, and the recommendations here are Bill Cagle, Pickens Historical Society, Penny Davis, Marble Valley Friends, Jennifer Bramlett, owner of the Beauty Bar there in Tate, Kathy Bell at Bell's Pharmacy there at Tate, Carmi Stone representing the Tate Community Association, and Miss Becky Denny representing the commissioners here for Pickens County. We've also got 2 individuals that will be serving as advisory council, is Mr. John Anderson, he's a Big Canoe resident, and Green Suttles, the Economic Development Director, that's here for Pickens County, will be a consultant on the project, not a committee member also. If y'all are satisfied with those names, I need a move in a second to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move in a second to approve as advisory council. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Those have been approved. All right, Tax Commissioner. Item D, resolution to waive penalties and interest on unpaid ad valorem taxes under certain conditions. Mr. Landon, would you like to explain that, please?
This is Billy Newton had approved a resolution years ago. When Ms. Ray and I were looking at it, I just thought it would be prudent to have it updated to reflect the actual commission, the tax commissioner that's in the office as opposed to the one. This is the same practice and procedure that that office has been following since throughout your tenure. There's no new change here. It's just, I just thought it'd be best to get it updated and have it what it's supposed to be.
Would this, Phil, would this be like waived for like a major illness and that kind of thing? Is that what?
It's more along the lines of if there's been an accounting error or some sort of computer glitch or something like that, that has caused the bill to be published in a manner that's not truthful or not fair or not accurate. No, it allows him to step in and address it in an equitable manner or a fair manner. Without there being some sort of strict interpretation of a legal concept that leads to unfairness.
Is it the tax commissioner that has authority, or does it include other people?
It's just him. That goes with the office. But
Who would monitor just for the sake of oversight as we go forward? I guess commissioners would have the ability to.
you have to, if the authority was, if the board of commissioners perceived that this authority was being abused, then they would be able to rescind it. My point being is that this has been the practice in that office for many years, and I just thought it was, it's nothing, this is not a new practice. I just, from my perspective, I thought it would be a better protection for the current tax commissioner to have it updated.
Mr. Barnes, do you have any other questions on this? No. All right, I need a, moving a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, that brings us down to employee handbook updates. Everything in blue is what you've got updated, correct?
Correct.
What I read this morning.
And there is a couple of, like the, ethics policy
Have you all had time to review this? Or would you?
I'd like more time to read.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't have to be something that has to be done right away, can we?
No, sir.
So we can postpone this for later discussion, maybe at the next county meeting?
Yes.
All right. I need a move and second to postpone this to the next county meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Lisa, we will be running that on the next, give us time to review it a little bit more. All right, we have a rezone case. Case number RZ190017. It is parcel 032-062, track B at Highway 53 West, Scarecorn Creek Trail.
What you just said, what's on the screen is not the same thing.
No, it's not. What I'm reading right there is not the same as what I've got on the, what I've got here in the memo. Unless I'm looking at it wrong. Pickens County Planning and Development also received a completed application on February 26, 2020 from Denise Kiley requesting a change in the land use classification of suburban residential to highway business on a 15-acre tract located at 53 West and Scarecorn Creek Trail. There, that pretty well, but that's not. Is that it, Roy?
Well, you got the right name,
Yeah,
but the parcel number
it's not correct.
is not correct.
All right. Let's see here.
Justin should have the,
15-acre contained tax parcel map 032-062, tract B.
That's correct.
That is correct. So I've got, it's right here, but it's not right on the minutes. On the agenda, I'm sorry. All right. Can I make a recommendation? Can we approve as the memo with a correction to the agenda after we've already approved the agenda? How do we need to proceed forward with this? They got the name right, but the 53 West Jasper, then that's not, the parcel numbers are not the same.
The 016 is correct.
Pardon?
What is on the memo is correct.
This track is located at Scarecorn.
I think he's got the survey done.
I'm Denise, and I have some information in my file. Is that okay?
Hold on a second,
Yep.
please. But the zoning, it was 5 yes, 0 no, correct, Justin? 5 yes and 0 no on the, no, I'm sorry, it was 0 yes, 5 no to approve the rezone request. Okay.
But the record that was, what you're saying, that was the record that was forwarded to the review by land development did bear the correct tax parcel identity.
Correct. So what you're saying, we can vote on this as a 0 yes, 5 no to approve the rezone request to this document right here.
And when you say approve the rezoning request, are you approving the action of the planning commission, or are you approving the request of the land?
Or approving the action of the planning commission for a 5 no.
So it'd be a denial of
It'll be a denial. Because the planning commission voted 0 yes, 5 no for denial.
And so your vote is equal to uphold, but they did it.
Correct. All right, we're looking at, they're asking to amend the Pickens County land use map in regard to parcel 032-062 times B, 15-acre tract of urban residential to highway business, and they're requesting that that's a no vote. Planning commission request that's a no, that's correct. All right, I think I've got it.
Can you have anything to say at this point, or is it guests and comments once you can?
It'd be guessing, your judgment, your ruling is restricted to what is to what the record was as it was created at the planning commission.
Correct.
That's what has been, that entire file has been forwarded to y'all. And that's what your consideration is for.
So I guess what we're asking is with the board here, I need to move in a second to approve or to abide by the wishes of the planning commission for a 0 yes, 5 no to approve the rezone request. So denial of the rezone request is what they're asking for.
Can we have discussion? or-
Sure.
What was the business that they were planning to put there?
Doesn't
Do
give,
we have
doesn't give anything.
Justin has it
Okay.
It's undetermined as of this time.
undetermined.
Undetermined. Okay. So it's already suburban residential, they were trying to bring it to highway business. That's what, okay. They don't know what they're bringing in there. All right. What y'all?
I guess I make a motion to vote with the planning and development department since we don't know what business is coming in.
All right. I have a move to that effect. Sure. We've got a second. Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor to keep it abide by the planning commission's vote is 5 no. All that in favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right. All right, that brings us down to guests and comments.
Well, we've already done, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background, but you've already denied it, so I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
I'll leave it there.
It's either or, but yeah, it's already been denied. But,
Okay, yeah. It's just that there's 5 parcels that are already zoned the same route at the same area, so that's all I was gonna show you. Yeah, there's highway business all around it, so I'm a bit confused why they didn't approve it.
But you didn't have a particular business in mind at this time?
No, but it was, the planning director did recommend to approve.
All right. Any further comments? Looks quiet, isn't it? That brings us down to getting close to adjournment. All thing I want to say is downstairs at 7 o'clock we got a debate going on between 2 individuals that are running for this position that I'm sitting in as chair. I'm assuming it'll be videoed live if we get to that point. So if everybody would like to listen, they're more than welcome to come downstairs as far as I know. But that being the case, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.